Good morning and happy Easter to all coming up. This is Wayne from Bit Repairs. Another video coming up, which is this time it's an iPhone X that's come in for no power. So what we've got at the moment is not opened yet. I've not even had a look at the unit. So it basically came into me for a no power repair. Customer just can't get it to turn on. I don't know whether it's been looked at, whether it's been opened. So the first thing I'm going to do before I've even taken the screws out the bottom of it, I'm just going to have a look at the physical quality of it. So looks pretty good. Doesn't look like it's bent. It's not been smashed unless it's had the screen replaced. And the back looks like it's original. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's been replaced. You can tell it's been replaced usually because most people use the big hole instead of replacing the whole camera lens at the back. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to check on the system, make sure this is streaming and I'm not talking to myself. So yeah, we are on air and yes, we're all good. So right, what I'm going to do is the first thing I always do with a phone before I open it up is I just plug it into to the USB ammeter. So we're on USB ammeter and we are drawing 0.007 and then it goes clink and goes 0.3 something and then back to 0.007. I'll show you this on the ammeter here. Let me switch cameras. And then I'll show you this camera here, which is the, let me just get focus on that. See if the camera will autofocus. Yep, there we go. See if it's quick enough to refresh. So you'll notice, I'll try and put my elbow on the table to keep it really still. You'll notice it just goes blink, just for a split second it does it. So hold on a sec. There we go. That did it then. Did it then. So you can see, basically, it's like pulsing. So the phone's having a pulse, and it's telling us that there's a short. So in there is a circuit which is basically testing to see if there's a short. Can I power up? Yeah, I can power up, and then it pulls the full current. Can I power up? No, there's a fault down line somewhere. So that's basically what's happening here. Switch back to hands-on view, I think it is. Yep, that one. So let's open it up. There's no point carrying on looking at it externally because there's nothing we can fix from outside this phone now. I believe this is likely to be, if it's been opened, it will be something that's been done when the board was opened. If it's never been opened before, then it will basically just be a straightforward board short. It's probably happened after a drop, but a drop that's not been bad enough to cause the phone to smash. So I'm just going to go in at the bottom and I can feel immediately down here, I can feel immediately someone's been in this phone. You know straight away with X's, you know straight away with any of these, because the water seal just does not come away that easily. Well, yeah, I can't believe I thought that was an original screen actually. That must be an OLED someone's put on there because that's quite thin. So you can see basically the battery has been written on. We've got some marks up here. The screen has obviously still got the film on the back of it, so that's a dead giveaway. But inside it doesn't look too bad. So we're going to take the cage off first. So this one here, we need our tri-wing. So we're just going to unscrew the tri-wing screws in this row all the way up. Try and keep them in order if you're not used to doing this. Obviously, if you are used to doing this, you're going to know exactly where everything goes. So you can see there, that's come straight off, that shield. Blink, there we are. So now what we're going to try and do, I'm going to unplug first of all, is I'll do it without, I'll do it with me tweezers so that you can see. So first of all, we're going to unplug the front face ID flex. So we just go down here and blink, there we go. Can't believe I've not got the other camera set up from above actually, but we only have one ridiculously expensive camera. The other one is just a webcam, so you know, maybe I'll be able to afford getting two of them in future, but not at the moment. Right, so what I'm going to do now is unplug that, because that can often cause a short. I'm going to test again. So I've unplugged one thing from the board and now I'm testing it. I'm not expecting it to change, so no, it's not changed, it's exactly the same. But that's one of the first things I do as I unplug the front face ID flex. So the front speaker flex basically that's connected to the screen. It's often a problem on these phones. Then we're going to unplug the screen. That's the screen off, okay? And we're going to test again. So here, sometimes it can be the screen. Again, it's not common, but you're testing one at a time. It saves going back and having to rethink all of these things. You're doing it methodically. So that's not that again. I'm pretty sure it's not the charger port, because that's drawing. It's drawing and then pulsing, drawing, pulsing. So we can see that that could potentially be okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to unplug the battery connector, move that back. Okay, nothing else I know on this board commonly causes these problems. So let's go back to this camera view. Right, so let's come over here and we've got our multimeter. Let's switch multimeter over to continuity mode. So what I'm going to test now is I'm going to go across. The black is going to go on ground, so it's going to go, I just stick it on the side of the SIM tray like that. And the red is going to go and test to see if any of these, let's just make sure we've got a circuit first. Yeah. Okay, so have we got any circuits here? Seem to be getting a good connection actually. I use these probes for something that I shouldn't really have used them for yesterday, which was mixing a conductive compound, and I think it's coated the tips and it's causing them to give strange readings. So let me just clean them up, make sure they're all okay. You want to make sure there's no corrosion on it, on the tips, because this is basically what we're using for our main diagnostics. So back onto there again, and there we go. So we've got a dead short on one side, which is the ground side, and then on the other side we have 539 ohms on the battery terminal. So across the battery terminal we have dead short, which is ground, which is fine. On the other side we have 540 ohms there. So I don't know if I can zoom out and show you. It's not easy to see. No, can't really see on that unfortunately. So you'll just have to trust me. I'll have to try and work out how to get an on-screen ammeter at some point. So I'll show you on the camera here what I'm actually measuring to get. So if you look here, there's your battery terminal down there. So I'm going to put one probe on this screw terminal here, right? And I'm going to put the other probe down here onto this one, and I should get a dead short, because that is the ground terminal, that pin. And then the other one I'm getting currently 542 ohms, because I'm slightly closer now. Before I was measuring it from the SIM tray, now I'm measuring it from a circuit that's really, really close here. So we're getting 542. So that basically is a board short. So we're going to have to get this board out of here now. What we'll do first, we will check actually to see if there's any pry damage. So let's go back to here, and I'm just going to check the next to the battery terminal, because this is frequently a part that is damaged, this little bit down here. So that little component down there often gets damaged. That's okay. Let's have a look at this here. This is where when the screen lifts up, you can see it's just grazed the edge of the NAND here, which is okay. It's not pulled off that chip. That little chip there is often damaged. Let's have another little scope around and see if there's anything obvious actually before I pull this board out. There are no signs of long screw damage. Often it's this hole here next to the battery terminal that people screw straight through. So that to me as a board looks okay. Looks like it's just had a drop. So we're going to go over to camera number 4 and I'm going to take this board out now. So sorry for the boring bit now, I'll try and keep you entertained. So it's quite a common thing to happen, this iPhone X's I'm finding these days. They do frequently fail with this board short internally. Now the nice thing about these is before you had to basically trace the entire board to try and find a board short. The nice thing about these dual layer boards is you're only having to diagnose half the board, because once you've split the board, then you test each half of the board individually. So you're going to test first of all the battery terminal again once it's been split in half. Then once you've tested the battery terminal, if that's not showing a short after you've split the boards, then you know it's on the bottom half. If it's still showing a short, then you know you're looking at the top half. So you're basically halving the amount of components that you have to look at. The only problem is obviously that you do have to split the board first, which used to be a bit of a nightmare, but to be fair, given that we've got these new plates now to split the boards, it's really straightforward. Doesn't add a great deal of time to it. And the fact that there's only 3 screws holding the whole board down is, well, genius. So what I'm going to use here is this board splitter. I think it's the Mijing board splitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my scalpel, and you need to slice across where the sim is, just this little nick along here. You just have to slice across there because we're gonna remove some of this board. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the foam, because ideally, if this comes off in one piece, we'd like to re-add that later once the repair is complete. There we go. I'll stick that to my backup microscope. Then we've got that one, stick that to my microscope, and then a little tiny bit down here. So we're basically just removing all of this foam padding from around the edge. They don't all come off nicely. If you can't get them off nicely, don't worry. It's just a nice little extra thing I like to do. If I can put these foam pads back on again, if I ever get this back for water damage repair, it's going to be a whole less worse. Now what I'm going to do is I need to get an iPhone 7 base screw. The iPhone 7 base screw is going to go straight in here in the middle. So there's a screw in the middle of the board. I just need to get my screwdriver. There we go. So it's going to go in right about here. Now we're not screwing it all the way, don't try and screw it through the board. As soon as you hit any resistance, you stop. So that's the screw in the board, as you can see here, right there. So now I'm going to put it onto the board holder, board heater. That's on. I'm going to flick the holds in so that it can hold it into place. I'm going to put the phone chassis to one side. We don't need that at the moment. We don't need the screws at the moment, so they're all going out the way. Try and keep your work area tidy. It's not easy. Not easy in this trade at all to keep your workspace tidy. So there's that many bits, and you're having to try that many things that it is really difficult to do. So we're just waiting for this to warm up now. as soon as it's warm, it's very low melt, this this solder on these two boards, so it'll warm up pretty quick. I did have this preheater on as well, this heater, already, because I had a feeling before I started this job that it was likely to be a board splitting job. So I thought I'll save a bit of time and get the heater on. So I'm not seeing movement yet. I'm seeing movement in the lower board, but I'm not seeing any movement in the upper board yet from lower. So don't force it. If you're going to force this, it's basically going to cause the pads between the two layers to pull off. You really don't want that. That is a nightmare of a repair. And if you've caused the damage yourself, then own up to it and get it fixed. It's one of the biggest things in this trade. Is we had someone come in the shop yesterday. They said they'd been to, where was it? It was a Timpson's store, that's it. And they'd had the screen replaced, and the technician said, unfortunately, your home button isn't working after the repair, so we'll give you the repair for half price. She came over here just to get it checked out, and we said, was the home button working before the repair? The customer said yes, it was working fine, but now it's not working. So we checked the home button and it had been clean torn in half. So obviously they put a new technician on the job, torn the home button and not taken responsibility for that. You should replace the phone. There's no doubt about it. There's no way of fixing it. Just replace the customer's phone. I know it's not a nice thing to do, but it'll teach you next time not to go and tear these things. So, is this warmed up now? Yep, there we go. Straight off, no problem at all. So I'm going to unplug the power from that now. I don't need that to be roasting that board away while I'm doing my repair. I'm going to leave it on there to cool down. It doesn't really take it that hot, this. So you don't need to worry about it causing issues. So what we're going to do now is this rather toasty top board. I am going to grab hold of it here, and I'm going to switch cameras again now. Switch to camera number 1. So I'm going to get my eye pinch, I think they call it. I'm going to pinch the board in the middle of there on the eye pinch. There we are. Okay, let's try and zoom out a little bit. There we are. So, on the eye pinch now, I'm going to go in at this battery terminal again, and I'm going to measure it, same as I did last time, exactly the same as I did last time. So, we're going to go in, one on ground, test the ground first. This is our first test, make sure the ground's still connected between these two. We are getting continuity. Next one. Right, so now we're up to 2000 ohms. So ground, 2000, open circuit now. So this top half of the board is fine. It's not related to the top half of the board. That top half, I can now guarantee if I was to plug that in, that will boot up without our bottom layer connected. So let's put that to one side. Now we're going to go to our bottom layer. Okay. Going to leave this on the preheater for now because I'm just going to do a visual inspection of it. Now, we want to find out which circuit it is. We're going to have to go on microscope view now. We're going to have to find out which circuit on this phone is now causing the short circuit. So we're going to go straight up here and we're going to do a visual inspection. So let's do a visual inspection together and let's see if we can find something that's horrifically burnt out. So usually on this you will see a component that's got damage. It's very, very common to be able to just see it straight away. So we're scoping around now. We're looking for a largish capacitor. Okay, Let's have a look around here. I'm not seeing anything massively standing out just yet. I've seen a couple of candidates, so let me zoom in a little bit more now. So my candidates at the moment are, this one here looks a little bit discoloured. Don't ask me why, it's just one of those hunches. This one here is the biggest candidate. That looks like it's got some charring on the top. And closer looking here, I can actually see that has a crack in it. See that? Zoom in further. That capacitor actually has a crack going through the middle of it. So that's what we're doing first. We don't want to stick voltage on this board until we've figured out all of the basics. We've looked at all of the things that we can possibly look at. I'm going on 100% now. I would bet my job that that is short and that is what's causing the problem. So let's just check it. Dead short on that circuit. You can hear the meter going off. So would it be a coincidence that that circuit has a dead short and a big crack through the capacitor and it not be that component? Unlikely. So I'm going to pull up the schematics now and we're going to find out what circuit that's on. So we are basically, let me turn my microphone down a bit, it seems a bit loud that. There we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up ZXW tools and I will stick that on the screen for you momentarily. Okay. Give me a moment. Right, we'll stick camera number 4 on, which is ZXW tools, and we're going to go here over to iPhone phone series. We're going to look at iPhone X. We're going to look at iPhone X Qualcomm. It's RF actually. iPhone X Qualcomm RF block. Right, so we're on block, and which way round have we got this board now? So put it the same way round as the picture because it's a lot easier. Okay, so it is down here, it's along this bottom row, and we've got a row of components here, and then we've got 2 caps in between, and then on here it is the right hand capacitor that's causing it, which is a VDD main cap. So that would make sense from what I'm seeing. When I go onto the battery terminal and I was seeing an abnormal reading, that to me was VDD main. So what I'm going to do now is quite simply on this, I know it seems a bit barbaric, but I am basically going to see if I can chip that component off the board. It is really tight here. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to get my hot air. I'm going to warm the hot air to around about 280 on this because it loosens things up a little bit. It's not hot enough to melt the solder, but it is hot enough to loosen things up down here. So we want this component to come off nice and easily without damaging these other components down here. So I'm going to try and get leverage. There we go. Okay. Now to me, that is a really tight space to stick a replacement component on the board. It is VDD main, There's lots of capacitors on VDD main. Should we prove that that was the faulty capacitor? Yeah, there's lots of bypass capacitors on VDD main. So, yeah, dead short on that capacitor. Let's have a little look at it. I don't often look at these things in more detail, but it doesn't look too bad, to be honest, elsewhere. It's got a crack down the side there that you can probably see on the camera view. And I've just swept past it with my multimeter probe, and it's gone. So you ain't seeing that one anymore. Turn it upside down. There it is. Fallen down one of the holes in the board. So anyway, we really don't need to investigate it. It's a faulty capacitor. So let's go back to what camera are we going to now? We're on camera 1 at the moment. So basically what we're going to do now is, on this board, we're happy. I'm happy that that is now a fixed board. I'm pretty sure, you know, I can measure the circuit again. Should we measure the circuit again just to make sure? To make sure that that short's gone. So short on one side and the other side is 130, 140, sorry, 1,330. It's well high enough. So that's perfect. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to stick this top half of the board back onto here again. I'm just going to layer it on top. It's going to get held into place anyway properly. So all I want to do is make sure that I've got the right alignment on there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that plugged in now. Okay, we'll have to switch camera views again. Okay, I'll pull that down here. We'll switch camera view down to here. And I'll put the board splitter down there. I'm going to plug it back in again. It might need resetting. H, dotted lines. Yeah, just need to turn it off. Wait for it to go out, turn it back on. There we go. Flicks back in again. Okay, so now this time, I don't like to rely on these boards pulling themselves together. So what I prefer to do is use the clamp on the top of it. So we're gonna, oops, completely forgot. You gotta take this standoff screw out. You can do it with the standoff screw in. So there we go. It's just warming back up again now. So we're gonna put the pressure down on it. Pressure plate on. That's on there. That's onto there. All done. Right, I'm going to put that to one side, leave that to do. Okay, so I'm going to show you now, this is another repair that I've got in. So this is an iPhone 7 which has come in for the dreaded audio IC disease. Oh, this is massive. This is the biggest problem I have ever seen on any iPhone ever. And that's saying something. That's even worse than touch disease. I've fixed, I'd say millions, but that would be a bit of an exaggeration. If I was to say 100,000 of them, that would probably be close to the mark. I've literally done so many of these, you would not believe it. So they just, before we sell an iPhone 7 in the shop, this is how bad it is. Before we sell an iPhone 7 in the shop, I do the audio IC repair. Because I am so sure that it's going to come back that I just do the repair. I don't even, it's not faulty, I'll just do the repair, get it out of the way. Because I know that within the next 12 months, that phone is going to come back to me with an audio IC problem. It's just every single one of them it's happening with. I know from Apple's point of view that it was never an issue. They just swept it under the carpet. Never admitted to being at fault with it. So yeah, it's just something that they've quietly thought, well, you know, you drop your phone, you live with the consequences. But I've had people that have really taken care of their phones and they've still had this problem. So it really is such a massive issue that I've repaired countless of them. I literally have ran out of a counter. There's no way of counting how many have actually been done in the world. So let's just have a little look here. That's okay. I always like to check the board even still, just to make sure nothing's been damaged on it. So again, I'm just going to take the screen off. First things first, we take the screen off. Okay, that's that done. Click that off, battery off, click that off, click the home button off. It really is, it's just tedious now. It's a good repair because it works 100% of the time. It's just one of those repairs that you just have to go through the motions of. I don't do it the same way as everybody else. I've got my own way of doing it. As soon as this becomes a non-repair and nobody's ever doing it anymore, that's when I will really show the full technique, and I will do a full video on how it's done. But I know it's going to be a waste of time then for people because the phones will be worthless. But still, you know, it's my income, and it still is an income to do these repairs, because these phones, these iPhone 7s, still are worth a bit of money. So I can't show a technique that is basically saving me that much time to the public. So in essence, where's my screwdriver? That one. Right. So you can see, if you are doing this yourself as a repair, and like kind of taking the board out, you can see the way I methodically do it. So have a look at this screw pad down here. I put everything on a magnetic pad. A colleague of mine doesn't like using magnetic pads, but they're my favourite. I've always used magnetic pads since I started, since I got hold of them basically. They literally are what allows me to do bulks of repair without losing screws. So I could disassemble 500 phones and get them all in order. And then I just have a little screw pad here. There we go. That's all the screws. I mean, that pattern is the same every single time. So every phone I take apart, that's the pattern. There's the board out, straight there. All we do, we lift the shield up here. Got a little scalpel under the corner. We're trying to lift it as tidily as possible. So we're pulling it up. Okay. And that's the shield up there. I lift it to here. So I lift it no further. I don't take the whole shield off because there's no need. This is the audio IC here. Let me pull it up on the big camera. There we go. So you can see here, this big chip here that I've got my scalpel right over, that's the audio IC. So that's the one that's going to get repaired. From that point, it probably takes me about 2 minutes to repair it. Right, let's unplug the power for that. Right, I will show as a basic overview how it's done. I'm not going to zoom in or use microscope view or anything like that. I'll show you using the Sony camera where we go with this repair. So I find it easier, not everybody does, but personally I find it much easier with this repair to remove a little bit of the shield, which is why on all of my repairs you will see a tiny section of shield has been removed. It's not to everyone's taste doing it this way, but you know, I've done thousands and thousands of them, and they all work when I do it this way. So why change a system that just works every single time you do it? There's just no point, is there? So, right, I'm going to go back over to camera 4. There we go. So here we've got the jig that's cooling down. So on the iPhone X now, you'll notice I haven't even bothered testing it. I have literally put the board back together again, not bothered testing it, because I am pretty sure now, from what I've seen on that repair, that that was the cause of the issue. So yeah, basically I'm just waiting for that board to cool down now. Once that board's cooled down, then we'll put it straight back in the phone again and we'll test it. So I'll probably get, I'd say the iPhone X's that I get for this kind of repair where it's no power, I'll get them in, I'd say 80% of them are fixed. It's not 100% success rate, but it is a good 80% success rate that we're getting on these. The remaining 20% are ones where we've had a massive impact on the board, which has caused one of the chips to shatter. That can be a big issue. The other times are where people have put a long screw next to the battery terminal. That to me, from my point of view, is irreparable. I don't know about in China whether it's irreparable, but to me, that particular fault is irreparable. So I'm just doing this audio IC repair now while I'm on the video, while I'm waiting for that board to cool down. So I'm just waiting for this to go. Okay, so that's chip off, audio, then we've got jumper, 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 doing the jumpers, okay, chip back on again. Really is that quick. I'm not showing people how it's done, unfortunately, because I really can't show how the technique is there just yet. There we go, that's audio repair complete. So on this board now, all I'm going to do is, where I've took the audio chip off, put it back on again. I'm just going to put some Kapton tape over the corner there, just to cover that little bit that I've snicked off. Okay, and then I'm going to do that and stick the shield back down again. Done the Kapton tape a little bit too long, so I'm just going to cut it off at the end. And then I'm going to date it. I date every single one of my repairs on here. So what's the date today? 26th of the 3rd. So I'm just going to go 260321 BR. That's that one done. That's ready to go back in the housing again now. So that's the audio IC repair done. Let's just check. The main focus of this video is the iPhone X no power repair, but that was just basically a quick, while I'm doing a repair, I'm waiting for a board to cool down. There's no point sitting around wasting your time. You may as well do a quick and easy repair while you're waiting. So kind of intersperse difficult repairs with quick and easy. That way you're not waiting around wasting your time. So that's done. Where is this? Standoff screws. Okay. That's the audio going back together again. Okay, I won't keep you waiting around for too long. This board should have cooled down now. Doesn't take a huge amount of time to cool down, but you really don't want to start playing around with these things until they've cooled down to a point where you're not going to start just ripping it apart again. You know, if I do this, take the top off and the boards pop out, the boards separate while I'm doing this repair, then I'm going to have to do it again. So, and the second time round, I'll probably have to reball it, because you can only do this a certain amount of times. I mean, the first time you split a board and put it back together, I personally think it's okay, as long as it's not got split board issue to begin with. So, you know, it's these are relatively cheap repairs that you're having to carry out on these. So if the price was in the hundreds, then yeah, great. I have got no problem at all. If someone says they want the layers reballing, I've got no problem doing that. But the problem is, we're all here to try and make a living out of this. So we've got to try and get these repairs done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So for example, an iPhone 7 there, which is basically in and out. I'll turn it on now if I can. I don't know if there's any battery in it. Yep, Apple logo. Right, so I don't want to show it on screen just yet in case there's any customer data on there. Put the shield back on again, and then as soon as I've done this bit, it should be cooled down. The X should be cooled down enough then for us to try and take it out of the jig. So the first thing I'm going to do with it when it's come out of the jig is I'm going to test to make sure that the board short is still gone. If it hasn't still gone, then, you know, more fool me, I've obviously made a mistake, but I'll have to split the boards again if that's the case. I don't think it will be. You've all seen the capacitor was cracked, it was shorted. It was a relatively straightforward repair. The only more straightforward that could have been was if I didn't have to actually split the boards. So that's iPhone 7 audio back together. Let's see if there's a passcode on it. There's no passcode. There's personal pictures, I think. I'm going to voice memos. Welcome to voice memos. No voice memos on there, so I'm just going to go on there, go onto the voice memos screen and just test it now. Test. And that's it. That's fixed. So that, to me, that's a finished repair now, that one. This one, let's have a look at this. Let's take the clamps off. Lift up. Okay. Lift up from there. Push the clamps out from the sides. Okay. It's okay. We want to make sure this board doesn't move around. It's not moving around. That's good. It's not still molten. Okay. Problem with this is that I use this jig that much now that it's starting to get flux on it. So I'm starting to get these boards sticking to the flux. There we go. You don't really want to pry it up because you'll end up getting damage to the board. So I want to check that now. It's okay. Put it on the worktop, squish it down just on the worktop just to dissipate the heat. I'm trying to cool it down basically as quickly as possible. Normally, when I'm doing this repair, I would normally leave this board to cool down. I'd just throw it to one side, do 3 or 4 repairs, leave it to cool down, and then come back to it. I'm trying to do this as quick as I can for you on a camera because we're on a live stream. So let's have a look here now, and I just want to check now on these pins that we're all connected. We've not got any gaps, so as you can see there, that's all looking good. That's all looking good. That to me looks like a nicely connected board. Okay. That looks good. This bit at the end here, this little leg at the end, this really is important to make sure all of this is down, to make sure that's not popped up. Very frequently, this bit of the board here will actually pop up if it's been bent. That's one that you really need to make sure as you're doing your reassembly that that board end hasn't popped up, because if it has, then the board just isn't going to work. It's going to not boot, or you'll have issues. You'll have sound issues. You'll have camera issues. You know, there's a lot of camera stuff up this end of the board. So that's that done. Let's go back over to camera 4 now. I'm going to put this back into the housing. So that's going to go straight back into the housing. Turn it the right way. There we are. So we've had a bit of an audio repair done. Sorry I couldn't show you the detail on the audio repair. And we've had an iPhone 7, an iPhone X for a no power repair. I've already tested the audio, so I know that's working. Let's see if we can get 100% on this and test the iPhone X before we shut this video stream down. So let's put that board back in again. I'm just going to put it in loosely, clip these connectors in. You can see here, it's not quite clipping down quite right. There we go, that's gone down. You don't force these things, never force them into place, you'll break stuff. Really don't want to be breaking stuff on these because you'll be then sending it for me to repair, which, no, I don't mind. So clip all of these connectors back on again. That's all of them back into place. Put the SIM tray back in again. Okay. That's the SIM tray back in. I'm going to connect the screen back up. I'm going to see if this repair was a success. So there's no reason why it shouldn't. We clearly saw that that capacitor was shorted on the video earlier. So, you know, to me, this is you know, an open and shut case, this is. So let's get that power into there, power onto the board, and hold down the power button. Do we get Apple logo? We might not, because it might have shut the power down to the battery when it shorted. So we might have to use the power lead. What are we drawing now? We're drawing 0.6, 0.1, 0.5, Apple logo. There we are. So we have another successful repair. I won't bother putting all the shields and everything back onto this before we finish the stream. Have a look on the website, www.bitrepairs.com. All of the repairs that we do are on there. Crap, personal image, I've never had this phone on before. Yeah, sorry, it caught me unawares that. I wasn't expecting that to boot up so quick and on a live camera view. So yeah, www.bitrepairs.com. All of the repairs that we do are on there. You just go on there, buy the service, send it in, and then we can get them done. I'm trying to do these live streams every single day at the moment. Sometimes I don't get a chance to, so, you know, I'll skip the odd day out. I don't do them at weekends, so it's kind of Monday to Friday. It's going to be in the morning because it's before I've opened up the shop. So yeah, feel free to join me each day. Hopefully I have a good little batch of stuff come in each day that's, you know, a different variety of repairs. I want to try and get a huge variety of different repairs to show you some weird and wonderful ones that occur. Some of the easier ones, some of the more difficult ones. I don't want these videos to be hours long. So I don't really want to be showing you how to do like NAND replacements and reprogram and stuff like that. Feel free to comment if you do want a particular repair, and I'll attempt to put it on there. If you put a comment on, I'll attempt to engage and try and get that repair done for you. So yeah, really appreciate you watching this video. My name's Wayne, Bit Repairs, we're in North Wales. So that's it, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.